Hey guys, today is February 7th, and it's been a few months since I've done a video. I apologize for those who want to see updates from me. I've been really busy. We totally taken down the dining area, the kitchen, and part of the living room, the floor in the living room, and we have laid new flooring, painted wall or tore out walls, repaired water damage, added insulation, added new reciprocals and switches, added wall, mudded, taped, painted, taken down beams on the ceiling. We still have the living room beams to take down, and there's one section of the ceiling that is damaged that he did a half-assed job taping, mudding and taping, repairing it. So I got to take out that whole ceiling area and redo it. So that's what we've been doing for the last 2.5 months. We started, excuse me, November, actually the week of Thanksgiving when Tony was off, and we worked really hard the 2 weeks she was off in December, and then we finished up as much as we could prior to Super Bowl, and now we just have some crown molding and baseboards to finish off the kitchen, and it'll be done. I worked from about 10 to 6 yesterday, up and down, undoing, redoing valves and drains under the kitchen sink. And for some reason, my hot water has lost its pressure when I added the dishwasher. There's nothing else really that you can do that I know. Excuse me, I've searched YouTube and I've done everything right. So I had to call out a plumber today. And in the meantime, I'm going to have him give me a quote on replacing all the piping, water pipes in underneath the house. We just bought a rain soft system for the house, and when I pulled off the valve in the underneath the sink, it was just corroded. I mean, I don't even know how water got through there, period. So I thought maybe some sediment went into the water line and blocked it, but we both looked and we can't find anything like that. So we'll let him do it, pay him to do. He's got the expertise. He's been out here before. I requested him. His name is Mike. Uh, a good guy. So that's what's going on with the house. We're going to take a break from painting and all this stuff, pulling tile up until spring. And we're probably going to go outside and work a little bit around outside just to take a break from all this stuff in here. I don't know though, because I can't handle mess, and the office and the spare room is full of tools and materials to do all this stuff. So I'm getting a little itchy having it all disorganized. Yes, I'm an organizer. You can compare my desk to Tony's, you know, although she knows where everything is, but we're just different in that way. So, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what happened on testosterone. I'm not sure if I brought this up. I was watching the previous video and it kept talking about other things, so I finally said, you know what, I'm going to take the time to do a video today. It's been 3 months, I guess, something like that, a couple months. So I was on when we first moved here, they put me on patches. Please excuse me on the yawning. I don't understand it, but please excuse me. Uh, so she put me on the patches. We were talking about how the shots were starting to get painful for me, and I just kept forgetting to give myself a shot and all this. So the patches did not work. They fell right off my body. I was sweating. We were moving. It was still August, September. And I asked her, could I cut them open and put the stuff directly on my body? And she said yes. So I did that for 5 weeks, I think it was. Well, in the meantime of doing that, I didn't realize it was the testosterone yet. I didn't put two and two together. But I started looking at my arms and stuff, and my muscles were shrinking. I mean, I was still doing things and didn't feel like my strength had gone anywhere. I was strong prior to testosterone, so I mean, But I noticed that my moods were different. I noticed that I was on the edge of a tear every time you turn around. Even though I didn't cry, my body felt that way. And I thought, Then I realized the patches and how long I've been on them. So I asked her to do a blood test, and needless to say, I didn't have any testosterone in my system except for what was natural. And the estrogen level was 49, which usually is, when it's that high for me, it starts collecting more in the midsection. The fat does. And so I said, okay, that's what's going on. Because I actually lost about 10 pounds when we first moved here and was feeling pretty good. But then my hips started coming back a little bit. And I'm like, what's that? So anyway, I emailed her and we did the test, and I emailed her and said, okay, can we go back on the shots? And so she ordered it. I'm back on the shots. I'm doing 60 once a week. And I'm feeling much more myself. The fat hasn't really changed at all, and I have put on 17 pounds. Now, with that being said, when I first started testosterone, I put on 17, 18 pounds. I think it's just my muscles have built back up. I don't see them as shrinking like I did. So anyway, it is what it is. I've come to the great deduction that I probably never will lose this midsection just due to my injury, my disability. But it doesn't stop me from being active. And I am active every day. Now, I will tell you, the 1st of January, I got sick. I've bragged on here how I don't get sick. And I had a sore throat, and I thought it was because of all the mud dust that I was sanding the walls a lot. And it could have been that. But I turned around 2 weeks later and started the cough again, which I was sanding again. And then I started running a temp about 4 days later. And so Tony asked me to go to the doctor, and I did. And they did a chest x-ray because of my history of valley fever, and I have pneumonia. Now, I just finished 10 days of antibiotics. She put me on 2. And I can tell you that I still ran a temp for a little while. But yesterday was the first day I got up and said, okay, I can do this. And I worked underneath my sink all day. So, yeah, I blame it on the diet. It could be, wearing ourselves down, trying to get everything done around here. We got the whole property cleaned up. We paid for our tree guy came and paid him to haul it all off. He probably made 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trips to the dump. I also paid our former neighbor. He's got a big family, so I offered him some money to come and haul off some of the pasture, the dry grass, and him and his son worked one day, and I paid him. But it's all done outside. Now we just got to keep it up. And let me tell you, this winter, the grass is a foot tall around the property. I'm like, no wonder why the grass was long and dry like it was. And Tony said, yeah. But the horses and the sheep are keeping the pasture down pretty much. We got to go clean it up, the manure in it. And those are the only long patches of grass you see is where there's manure. So we'll clean that up, and they'll eventually go and eat that. It probably will start drying up here by next month. It's still not warm enough yet. We're in the 50s and 60s right now. That's perfect weather for me. But yeah, to get out and work outside in the morning, it's too cold. If you have a choice, it's too cold. I've been experiencing my hands always cold, and actually feeling like frostbite on my hands. And I don't know if that's because of the carpal tunnel or what. I've really, really have had a lot of pain with the carpal tunnel since I've been doing all this painting and stuff. I've actually dropped paintbrushes and things. But I'm getting okay, so I wanted to talk about something. It's about politics, but it's not necessarily Republican versus Democrat or any of that. I've had a burden on my chest on how this country, the mentality to accept that it's okay for the person who is a representative of our nation to talk and act the way this guy does. And his followers, I've got friends that some are not educated, and I can see they just listen to one source, probably Fox News. But I've got educated friends that still stand behind him. And it saddens me that anybody would lower their morale, would lower their standards of respect, integrity, oath of offices. Uh, I just don't understand this. It's really, I've walked away from Facebook because of all the stuff posted on there. The friends I have, the pro-Trump stuff, and the comments they make, it's like, well, definitely not worth responding to, because if you take into consideration they're saying this in the first place, you're not going to change their mind. And to put it out there on the social media, but it's actually ignorance. It's either ignorance or it's people lowering their standard, their values, lowering their what they observe as integrity. Um, we've had some bad presidents in the past, and you know, people think that Trump won the impeachment. He's still impeached. They don't understand this. He still has been impeached. He just hasn't been removed from office. And people don't get that. And whoever thought Republicans, him being the leader of the Republican Party, would, regardless of what they felt, would remove him from office? I mean, that's like a slap in the face saying, okay, Democrats won. When it's not that way at all. It's actually the people won. You brought charges and you proved them, and the opposition has done everything to block any more concrete evidence and to say that they find that there was no evidence of abuse of power or quid pro quo. So I'm like, my burden is that the followers, how they feel it's okay to mock people, disabled people, people of color, LGBTQ people, people of a different, well, I said color, but immigrants, uh, and the vindictiveness he spews about getting back at people who impeached him, ruining them. I mean, is that the kind of leader we want? That's a dictator. I mean, I have to really pray and leave it in the higher hands like I've always done throughout my life. And I've always prevailed. I've gone through some very rocky times, some very hurting times. I've been pushed to the ground emotionally. I've been abused emotionally, actually. And I still had faith that I was doing the right thing. I never did anybody wrong. I've never retaliated on them. I've never treated them like they were treating me. And I have to believe that this nation can still stand strong. We've got a lot of changes coming in our nation, guys. And change is hard. But if I'll tell you right now, sitting here talking to you, I'm a white dude. And there is white privilege. I get respected a whole hell of a lot more now than I even did as female. But if you're white, you don't even begin to understand the privileges you have in society. And I know that there are immigrants that cause the distaste in people's mouths. I know they've done it for me. They've done it for Tony, and Tony's an immigrant. I know people of color are loud, obnoxious, some loud, obnoxious, don't dress respectfully, don't talk respectfully, don't work, keep having babies. I understand those are the things that people get irritated with, and I am on that side. But instead of condemning people, we need to find resources and figure out how we can to up their self image, their self respect, their self confidence. Uh, when you're born into poverty, you don't really know anything different, and there is a small percentage of people who, as they grow older, say, I'm not living like this, and they do get out of it, and it is a will, and it is a determination. But some people don't have those resources available to them. They're talked down to all their life. There's just other circumstances beyond what people see, and that's why judgment should not, people shouldn't judge other people. They don't know their story. uh, just like the LGBTQ, that's one of the biggest fights we have, is being judged, being told we're not worthy of having the same rights, and that we don't hold the same values, and we don't have any morals and all that stuff. And yes, a lot is religion based, but that's what this country was built on, people. I mean, think about it. Prior to the 80s, everything was black and white, and most people went to church, and most people listened to the preacher, and whatever the preacher said, people did. That's the way it is. We have been changing for the last few decades, and we're still changing, and we will continue to change. It just depends on how many people get on board with that. But I do believe in the younger generation coming in, like AOC, all those people coming in and saying, we're not going to allow this to happen. And I really, really hope all of you that agree with me register to vote and get out there and get all these people that are in the Republican Party that are up for re-election. Get them out of here. Get them out of here. They've been making millions of dollars working in our government. They've got money. They're not going to get hurt financially. Get them out of here and see if we can't get people in here that understand the changes, that respect people, that have consideration for people, that really want to work for the people and not just the money pockets and not just white people. Anyway, I just had to say it. I just have been really discouraged. And after yesterday or Wednesday, it's just gotten worse. And the comments on Facebook is just worse, and all the hate. It's not even about politics, just the hate. Someone can't even express how they feel, and someone is commenting how terrible they are. And I thought this is what it was about, freedom of speech. And yes, I'm complaining about their comments, but I don't do anything about it, and I surely don't comment to them, their videos or what they write, because I know there's no sense in picking a fight. You have to lead by example, and that's just what I do in my life. I try to, you know, be the best I can. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I open my mouth sometimes and put my foot in it, and then I have to apologize or feel bad. And but the thing is, I never turn the key off from learning and growing as an individual. I'm going to be 60 years old in a couple years, and I just want to get better as an individual, and hoping that my life will produce positive joy, peace, happiness, that someone else wants a piece of that, and someone else wants to be like that, and then they strive to be like that. So, anyway, guys, if some of you are Republicans, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. I'm not here to downmouth anybody except for the people who have actually done the act. And it just saddens me that we can lower our standards and our values like this and allow someone to tweet and talk like he does about people and calling them names and being petty. And where has the Republican Party gone? I mean, surely this isn't what you're changing into. But I see comments from people and I see people reposting stuff and truly believing in what people are saying from the pulpit. Uh, Here's another real quick I want to say. In every city, you've got multi churches. Okay? They're supposed to be serving a deity. Most of them are Christian based, so we'll say Jesus. And yet, we have people walking and laying on the streets. We got homeless shelters feeding the poor. And yet, we've got evangelists and preachers who live in 3 and 4 and 5 bedroom homes. And I mean, does that say something? Isn't Aren't we supposed to be like helping people? Um, like I said, don't judge them. You don't know their story. But anyway, guys, that's all my little rant. Wanted to touch bases with you guys. Hope everyone out there is doing good. Um, Leave me a comment and say hi to me. I'd like to know that you're doing okay. So anyway, take it one day at a time. Always make your journey as simple as possible. And I'll see you later.